it is 6:31 p.m. and I'm going to call the Northborough School Committee meeting to order. We are having a virtual meeting pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on July 16th, 2022. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. You're able to register in advance of the meeting, and we see people here, so they got the message on how to do so, which is good. We have one agenda change item before we start. NEF presentation is going to be in May now. With the rescheduling of the meeting tonight, there was a conflict, so they will be in May. And so that's the only main agenda change. We have Bryce, Lauren, and Joan present, and Aaron is absent for tonight. And I think that's all my business I need to do before audience sharing. Did I miss anything? We good? I think we're good. Okay. So audience sharing, we have some attendees. You can raise your virtual hand. I haven't done this in a while. You can raise your virtual hand if you'd like to be called upon. All right. We will have another audience sharing at the end of the evening. So perhaps that will be there. So seeing no hands, we're going to move on to new business. As I mentioned, NEF presentation is being pushed. So we have principal reports by Principal John Bell. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. All right. So at Peasley, they're looking forward to an author visit on Thursday with grades 3 through 5. Students and teachers are looking forward to engaging in conversation with Katie Schwartz about story development, and she'll explain the writing process using the theme bravery. During the month of March, their K through 5 students participated in a readathon, and the students read over 21,000 minutes, which raised $6,352 to fund a variety of activities and supplies for recess, including story walk and building materials. Additionally, the 5th graders pantry people helped lead a successful food drive for the Northborough Food Pantry. They raised over 600 non-perishable food items, and they're so proud of their 5th graders and the way that they all lead all of Peasley to collect that amount of food for such a wonderful cause. And then their next all-school meeting will be on April 14th. Part of the community event is going to be to celebrate their 60th birthday, and students will celebrate what it means to be a Peasley Panda, and the legacy that they leave will leave in a time capsule and will be buried in June. They will also celebrate the contributions that students are making and spotlight many of the talented Peasley students in the school. At Lincoln Street, it's been a busy month of March, but they're looking forward to April, which will also be busy. MCAS kicks off for all of our schools this month and will continue into May. And so at the elementary level, grades 3 through 5 will be tested. Lincoln Street will hold a parent social and emotional learning night on Tuesday, April 25th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And that was rescheduled due to inclement weather. Mrs. Hackenberg, the art teacher, has been working with the students to prepare for the art show that will take place on April 27th from 5 to 6:30. And then the Lincoln Street PTO is excited to bring back the luau, which families are excited to attend on April 28th from 6:30 to 8. And there's also no school this Friday, April 7th. Proctor, the month of April is again a busy one. They kicked off Saturday the 1st with the Proctor Spring Fair. Students and families enjoyed a day of fun within the themes of Waddles, Wizarding World. And thank you to the Proctor PTO and families for their timeless efforts and hard work to make the Spring Fair a success. Prior to vacation, the Proctor first graders will present their culminating projects from their animal research projects. Students will display their projects and share facts for families in the Proctor community on the 14th. Proctor is also excited to welcome students from Algonquin Adams Club on April 25th for 2 after-school offerings. Students who sign up to attend will participate either in an invisible ink and baking soda experiment for grades K through 2 or a pH cabbage experiment for grades 3 through 5. And then through the generosity of the Proctor PTO, Proctor will welcome Crocodile River for a full day residency on April 27th. All students will have the opportunity to learn about African culture and African dance. The day will culminate in an all-school meeting and a performance to share what they have learned. At Z, students are participating in Project Adventure during their PE classes during the month of April. Students are climbing, swinging, crawling, and balancing their way along the course while learning about perseverance and overcoming their fears. The annual Coffee House Talent Show will take place at Z tomorrow. Students have been working to prepare musical routines and will showcase their talents on Tuesday evening. Hot chocolate will be provided for the guests, and fifth graders will be raising money through a bake sale and a penny challenge at the event as well. Just like the other schools, Z students will be taking MCAS. Before break, they'll take their ELA test, and after break, they will take math and science. At Milliken, April is a short month with the week of vacation, but it's also a very busy one. Along with working on student transitions from fifth grade to sixth grade and eighth grade to ninth grade, there are many other exciting events to look forward to. The 3 grade level band ensembles performed well at the MICCA Festival on Saturday. Sixth grade band earned a silver medal, and the seventh grade band earned a silver medal, and the eighth grade band earned a bronze medal. Spring sports session has begun, where we were able to keep all players who tried out for baseball and softball, and the track team has more than 50 athletes this year, and we're looking forward to seeing our student athletes in action. The unified basketball team will participate in middle school unified basketball jamboree in Northbridge on Wednesday. Milliken will join 5 other middle schools in opening ceremonies, friendly team competition, and closing ceremonies. On April 10th, the world of different peer leaders will travel to Boston, along with peer leaders from Trotter and Algonquin for the annual Youth Congress, a program that brings together more than 1,000 middle school and high school students and their teachers to participate in state-led, student-led workshops on issues of bias and diversity. And then, just like the elementary schools are taking MCAS, ELA MCAS will be on the 11th and 12th, and they're taking all students in all grades are taking it on that day because they have a wonderful group of staff that are all hands on deck. They want to thank the technology staff for the support leading up to the testing days. And then all 3 grades will engage in math MCAS testing on May 10th and 11th, and the 8th grade will take science and technology on May 17th and 18th. And then, as usual, Saga, the LGBTQIA plus student group, will be leading the annual Day of Silence on April 14th. The Day of Silence is a national student-led demonstration where LGBTQ plus students and allies in the country and around the world take a vow of silence to protest the harmful effects of harassment and discrimination in LGBTQ plus people in schools. Our 7th graders will welcome Chariot of Sun on that day, as well as an interactive theatrical performance to connect to their mythology unit. Those are all the updates from our 5 schools. Does anybody have any questions?
Sorry, I was trying to find my mute. It's been a while. Thank you so much for all the information. It seems, as always, things are very busy in all of our schools and exciting things are happening all around. So thank you very much. Are there any school committee members who have any questions? Comments about anything? No? Okay. I did go to obviously the Proctor Spring Fair, and it was a very nice thing. So it's nice to see that we're back in the buildings and things. So it's always nice. All right, we are going on to the ZPTO presentation. So Betsy and Rebecca.
Hi there. I am going to share my screen.
Oh, so Principal Bell,
can
did
I
you
share
mean to
my
raise your
screen?
hand? No. Okay.
Sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button.
Betsy, you should be able to share your screen. You should be all
Okay.
set.
Okay. So cute. All right. Thank you everyone for welcoming us to your meeting and taking the time to let us tell you a little bit about ourselves. So we are the ZPTO. We have quite a few members, and we're very lucky to have a solid group of people who are very committed to helping with a variety of different activities and enhancements at the school. We plan quite a bit throughout the year. We meet once a month, and our meetings are always open to all of the teachers and the parents at the school. So we're always really excited when new members come. We try to reach out to new members new parents every single month to get them involved in even a small amount of time to help us out. This year, our team consists of 4 main people, and one of the people who is not on this list, but is a wonderful part of the team still, and our past chair, Rebecca, is helping me out tonight since our co-chair, Michelle, wasn't able to join us this evening. So I do want to take a minute to thank Rebecca for being able to help me tonight. But I am the chair, and our co-chair, Michelle Baker, has done a wonderful job this year. Diana Longden is in her 2nd term of being the secretary, and Kristen Guay is in her 2nd term of the treasurer. So this year we are going to be looking for 2 new members as the secretary and treasurer are on their way out, but we do have high hopes for a new treasurer that will be stepping in, one of our parents who will have 3 children at the school next year, kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 4th grade. So we're excited for them to pop in. So the next part I wanted to talk about really quick was our budget. This year, our budget was increased to $20,325, with a majority of that going towards enrichments for the children. Our enrichment budget was $6,500 this year, which we're really excited to increase from the last couple of years where we weren't able to do as many enrichments for the children due to COVID. Our next largest is our academic grants, which I'll talk about a little bit more in detail, all of these in a few minutes. And then you'll see our next one is field trips. And one of the reasons that is largest is because we do provide buses for the students, as well as field trip assistance for any students who may need that. And then coming up next is our classroom grants, and then staff appreciation. And then from there, we have a variety of budgets, including our spirit event, our PTO overhead, kindergarten orientation, tax filing and CPA expenses, as well as the miscellaneous expenses. All right, I am now on to our fundraisers. So I'm only going to talk about a couple of these, but one of the things that I really wanted to mention that is on here is our fun run. When we came up with the idea to do a fun run, we had done one in the past before COVID. We were really excited to try to do it again and had heard a lot of success stories from other schools as well. We had originally had a goal of $8,000 for the fun run. We wanted to keep it on the lower end in compared to what we had raised before. And then we came to find out that John came to us and said, you know what might be a really good idea is if maybe the fun run could fund field trips for the school this year. And we were blown away by that because we, as a PTO, really want to make sure that we're providing as much for the students, for the teachers to do the best that they can do, for all of the staff at the school, everyone who's at the school supporting our children every day. So we really wanted to make sure that we were able to support them for something that is really fun and that has been missed over the past 2 to 3 years by a lot of students. I know my 3rd grader was able to go on his first field trip this year, which was beyond exciting for him. He has been asking since kindergarten, when do I get to do a field trip? So the fact that we were able to support the school with this by raising over $4,000 of our goal and supporting the entire school for field trips this year was a huge goal of ours, and we're really proud that we were able to support that. Another one that we were also very proud to be able to host and raise money for was through our book fairs. In the fall, we had a Scholastic book fair where we raised over $6,000 and raised $3,444 in Scholastic dollars. And we were able to put that into the library. So every dollar we raise through any of our book fairs goes directly back to the library and books for the classrooms. So when we specify our Scholastic dollars, that's because if we were to take a cash payout, it would be half of what that is. However, Scholastic does not offer every book that teachers are looking for. And so we decided this spring to go with a different fundraiser for a book fair. And we actually did that through the Silver Unicorn, which is a small local bookstore out of Acton. Thank you. I was like, I can't remember it, but thank you, Rebecca. Out of Acton. And they were amazing to work with. So we were able to purchase $40 worth of books for every teacher that requested books in the school, as well as we gave the remaining funds that we raised of $794.91 to Alyssa to spend as she wished. So she was able to purchase books through a variety of different means. So it wasn't as restricting as with the Scholastic dollars. You can only purchase through Scholastic. But the Silver Unicorn, we would highly recommend to any other school to use because they were amazing to work with. We were able to pick up more books throughout the middle of the week that we needed. They had our funds to us very quickly, and it was just a really pleasant experience working with them. So that's a couple of our fundraisers. I'm going to pass the mic over to Rebecca now to talk about a few spirit events, community service, and some other things.
All right, thank you, Betsy, and hi, everyone. Good evening. So we also, in addition to fundraisers, we also hold a number of spirit events during the year, and that whole idea of our spirit events is to bring the community, the Z community together. Families, the students, teachers. And so we kick off the year with a back to school picnic. It's our second annual picnic, and it's been really well attended. We just do, we actually have pizza, so it's a pizza picnic, but it's very fun. We also have an annual Mount Pisgah story hike that Z has been doing for quite a few years now in the fall, and that's the PTO, our gym teacher, and our librarian get together and plan this hike on Mount Pisgah, and they put a story along the way to the peak. So it's a family day on a Saturday in October, typically. We also, of course, participate in the Apple Fest parade. We have our annual read aloud night. We also do a monthly walk bike to school every month, unless it's pouring or snowing. We really try to do it even in the winter time if the weather allows, but it's a way to really encourage healthy habits and also getting out there, doing something as a family in the morning before school. And it's always very well attended, and the students get a little trinket when they get there and get to sign their name. So we have a really good attendance for the walk bike ride to school. And then we also just participated in the Kindness Week by hosting an author visit by Mrs. Zia. She is an author, but former Z teacher. And so that was really well attended. She read one of her books and gave a talk on kindness. So that was a community event with the Northborough Community Affairs Committee. We partnered with them on that. And we do some other spirit events too, but I'm going to shift gears into community service activities that we do also during the year. We have at least a few times a year, we do a food pantry drive for Northborough Food Pantry. We also, this year during Kindness Week as well, we did a drive for the AHISMA shelter, which is out of Templeton, but one of our teachers came to us and asked if instead of the shelter that many people in this area support, if we could support a shelter near her, near and dear to her heart, because it's a rescue that is all volunteer driven and all donation based. So we worked with that, and we worked with this 4th grade teacher and her students, and it was just a lovely partnership that we want to try to, the students really got involved in it. So we've been thinking in the future to try to pair our community service events maybe with a staff or teacher that has like a passion for that nonprofit. So we're thinking about that going forward. We also did a holiday drive supporting the Family Health Center of Worcester. It was for mostly baby supplies and clothing. And it was right around the holidays where we really aren't thinking about diapers and formula, but it's a time that families really do need these necessities. So that's just a few of our community service events. And this, we always do get the students involved, and it's just nice to see them coming in with these things and making the signs all throughout the school and just instilling community service in our student population. And then thank you, Betsy. And then we also do have can never do, we cannot thank our staff enough at Z. We have an amazing teachers and staff at Z. And that ranges from, the front office staff to the bus drivers, to the cafeteria workers, to our janitors. During staff appreciation, we really try to make sure to show our thanks to everyone that is involved at Z School. So we do a welcome back lunch, usually a couple days before school starts, and to thank our teachers for coming back after a wonderful, relaxing summer. And we also, at the holidays, we do an appreciation breakfast, where families make different items, bring it in. It's like a potluck. And then during Teacher Appreciation Week, we do something different every day for the teachers. I probably have to say the coffee truck is the fan favorite. And it's really fun to have the coffee truck out front in front of the schools for the teachers to get their iced coffee or iced tea or cappuccino. But we also do flowers one day. We do a lunch. We do a school supply bar. We're always coming up with new ideas for our teachers to really show them our gratitude. So it's just a few things we do each year.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop back on now and talk about our grants. At the Z School, we do have 2 different types of grants. We do academic grants, which applications are submitted to the principal and reviewed each month by the PTO. So I think something unique to the Z School, or I believe it's unique to the Z School, is that we ensure that we are able to really go over the grants on a monthly basis. So it's September through May. The only month we don't approve them is in June, and of course over the summer. But this provides the teachers with the opportunity to find enhancements for their classrooms that they need throughout the year. So it is a little bit different than some of the other schools that just do them at the beginning of the year. And then we have classroom grants, and the PTO provides classroom grants and to teachers and specialty teachers of up to $50 for classroom supplies. As of March, we have reimbursed $715.84, and that is higher than in the past few years, which is great because we've been encouraging the teachers to put in for the money that they're spending for the classrooms. We want to be able to support them as much as we possibly can. A few of the things that we have approved for the academic grants this year are rugs for the classrooms. So the teachers were really missing some of their classroom rugs after they were removed for COVID and put in a storage container. And then when they were taken back out, were discovered that they weren't usable due to water damage. So we were able to support 15 rugs for different classrooms throughout the school, which we were really excited about. So another item that we were able to purchase for the school was instructional technology kits. And in February, we approved a grant for 12 makey electronic circuit board kits for projects for different grades in the school. And that allows the children to bring their poster boards to life, which is really exciting for them. Personally, I've heard about my children using them and they absolutely love them. So we feel as though it was a great purchase for the technology aspect in the schools. So in the picture below is one of the third grade classrooms thanking us. They sent us a video thanking us for the rug because they were really excited to have it in the classroom. So, and you can see the other grants that we've passed throughout the year as well. For enrichment programs, Rebecca, can you remind me, am I going to talk about it or are you? I forget.
I can do it real quick if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. So as Betsy mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, enrichment is the largest portion of our budget. What we raise money for goes into our enrichment programs. And so we've worked to bring some new programs to the school as well as one tried and true. So we've been working with the Acton Discovery Museum for a few years now, bringing programming to each grade that really aligns with what they are learning. So every grade had some different scientific program going on when the Acton Discovery Museum came. We also had meteorologist Kelly Ann Scalise come for third grade. We've been doing this for a while now with Kelly Ann from Channel 5. So, the third graders did make it on TV the next morning. So everyone in third grade was very excited to see themselves, including Betsy's son. So. Play for Engineers was a new one for us this year. I think in the past we hadn't used them in a while, and the students loved it. My first grader, who isn't, school's okay, but it's I don't always get rave reviews on school from him. Came home saying, I hope they come back every day, Mom. So they had them so engaged. It was a quick presentation, but then it was hands-on learning, all grades. I think it was like the lower level grades, all in the gym, and being little playful engineers. So that got rave reviews. And then WPI Robotics, they're free. And so they put on a wonderful program with grad students that come to the school and show, as you can see, their almost lifelike robots. And the students just love them because they really do engage the students with funny things the robots can do, but also very useful things too. So I feel like I got to see that one, and I feel like I learned a lot about robotics. So highly recommend it to other schools if they want to find a free enrichment program. That's worth it. So, and that's just a few of the enrichment programs we bring to Z, or that we did bring to Z so far this year.
Thanks, Rebecca. On an added note, Playful Engineers, I received feedback from both of our first grade, or all three of our first grade teachers, and they had said this was one of the best enrichments they had ever seen in a school. So certainly we'd be happy to share that information if anyone is interested in it. And then our last slide is just our Facebook page where we try to post frequently to keep people up to date. And then our email is zpto@gmail.com. And I think there were some hands. Did Keith raise his hand? Nope, you did not. You're just saying hi.
I'm just saying hi.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? So that's it. Does anyone have any questions for us?
Thank you so much, Betsy. I appreciate you.
Thank you
And
so much.
Rebecca for coming tonight and bearing with us with the change in the schedule and everything. I do see some hands. I think I saw Joan's first. Joan?
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Betsy and Rebecca, for this wonderful presentation tonight. I think everything that you said boils down to the statement that you are one community that's all working together for the betterment of all of our students. And you have such a high level of collaboration from taking Mr. Bell's beginning in his tenure, asking to fund the field trips, which is absolutely wonderful to do. And also to work with the teachers and understand that the teachers may need other books that are just not printed by the Scholastic company. And you searched and you found, I think, was it Silver Acorn?
Silver Unicorn.
Oh, Unicorn. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And, just doing that for the teachers. And also, I love the idea of the academic grants that are monthly, because so many of our staff, to take graduate courses. And when you take that graduate course, maybe like in December, you hear some great ideas and it's too late to get some funding or something unless you buy it out of your own money. But this way you allow the teachers, you help to supplement what they're doing to further their career and to enrich our students. So thank you very much. My only other question was, you just hit a little bit on kindergarten orientation. And you said that you spent like $1,500. Could you just give a little highlight of what you do for kindergarten orientation? Because I know a lot of parents are out there, and we may have some parents that are going to be enrolling their kids in kindergarten.
So, just to touch base real quick, I apologize if it was stated as $1,000 on kindergarten orientation. We typically only do $300.
Okay.
And one of the things that we do is provide all of the kindergarten, the incoming kindergartners with a gift bag. And the gift bag includes, in the past, it has included things like a t-shirt, a Z t-shirt. It includes a special poem that references a hug and a kiss with Hershey Kisses in it, a tea bag that comforts parents after their child has gone off to school, a little pack of tissues, and a pad of paper that has, I forget what they're called. I think they're like, what are they? A note to school. They're like
note to school, like
they're
dismissal
release notes.
Yeah.
So it's just a special little treat for the parents that I know, like, as I received it as a kindergarten parent, I was like sitting there like I can't, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold it back, but it's something that really meant a lot to me and means a lot to me to continue to provide for the incoming kindergarten parents.
That's a great idea. And I can just visualize a lot of the kindergartners on the first day asking, that's what they want to wear. That's their first day of school outfit with that t-shirt. And what a way to build a community of learners. Thank you so much. And the tissues for the parents.
That's
Thank
the
you.
important part. Thank you, Joan.
Thanks, Joan. Bryce?
I'll make this quick. Just a big thank you to the parents who get involved here in such significant ways, above and beyond all that you do every day. Having just recently attended the Proctor Spring Fair, it's just amazing. In addition to the fundraising, I think Rebecca and Betsy kind of made the point that that community that shows up there is phenomenal. Like, I don't always get a chance to meet my kids' friends, and then my kids' friends' parents, and then this is and I guess my only plug would be, I wish we could get to more of these events. And if there's ever an opportunity for us to have an event with all of the PTOs of all of the elementary schools and really bring that group together, yes, sign me up. I'll volunteer. Like, let me know what you need. So thank you. Just a big thank you.
Yeah. I actually wanted to mention one more thing, or two more things. Bryce, I 100% agree. I think we need to do more all school events. One of the things that we ran into at the PTO Expo last week was a company that does productions such as like plays and stuff. So we were me and some members of our PTO were thinking maybe we could get all four schools, the elementary schools, together to maybe host an event at Algonquin to have a play put on. And we could raise money that way and do, I'm not sure, it's all just spinning in my head right now, but I thought it would be a good idea to get the PTOs to talk about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the last thing that I completely forgot about, which is our largest consistent fundraiser every year, is our Kids Fest. Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot about that. I feel like this is Rebecca's baby. So our Kids Fest, which is similar to the PTO, the Proctor Spring Fair, is our Kids Fest event, which is being held this year on April 28th, which is the last Friday of the month. And this fundraiser has consistently made a significant amount of money for our school. Last year, it raised over $10,000 that was able to help us with a lot of the grants that we're able to support and the enrichments that we're able to support throughout the year as well. So come if you can. It's a really great event.
Great.
Thank
Joan,
you.
did you have something else or is that just leftover?
Just
Yeah.
left over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure.
Thanks.
All right.
I just want to add that we have been we are so lucky to have gotten Mr. Bell at our school.
Yes.
This year has been amazing. The PTO meetings are so delightful. I come out smiling ear to ear because he's so open to all of our ideas. We've been able to do so many new things. My son told me the other day his favorite teacher is Mr. Bell. He's just added such a just a great feeling to our school, cohesive, happy, joyful. Just the love of learning is all around us and we all feel it. He is in Project Adventure climbing with the kids. I mean, it's just been amazing. So thank you, Mr. Bell, for just coming to our school and being an amazing principal your first year.
I second that.
Thank you. You guys are easy to work with. I appreciate you. You guys do a lot for our school. Thank you.
That's great. Well, you know, he had big shoes, Keith's, to fill, you know, for.
We do miss you, Keith.
We do miss you quite a bit.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for coming tonight. I appreciate it. We appreciate all the time and effort you put in our schools and in our district and for our families. And thank you so much. And
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. And I think you guys are ready to go. I think you can leave too, Mr. Bell, if you'd like to. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Legislative update, universal free meals. Keith, do you want to take that one?
Greg, go ahead.
Sure. So I have two legislative updates that I'll share with the committee. The first is under Keith's direction. As you all know, Maura Healy did sign a supplemental bill to extend universal free meals through the remainder of this school year. Also, in terms of the budget process for fiscal year 24, universal free meals is included in the governor's budget. And we continue to partner with Project Bread to make sure that remains a priority for the governor as the budget moves through the process. The governor's budget is the first step in the process. So we have the House budget, the Senate budget, the conference committee, and then the final budget. So Keith is monitoring this very closely, and it is something that we will continue to advocate for on behalf of the district and the school committee. The other update quickly is that the remote meetings has been extended. So remote public meetings has been extended through March 31st, 2025 as part of the state's supplemental budget bill. So again, it provides the school committee with an opportunity to have remote meetings in the future through 2025 if it so wishes. And those are the two legislative updates for this evening.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if this would be the time to talk about it or maybe a future agenda item, but I know there's some things with food. So before COVID, we did the increase for the price for the school lunches. So that would be something to talk about. And then also the menu thing. So I don't know, should we put that on a future agenda item?
Yes, so Keith,
Okay.
Kyle Parson and I did connect. There were two items for a future agenda. The first is just in terms of where we are in terms of the finances of our food services program. And then secondly, menuing and just communicating some of the ideas around menuing and making sure that we have a variety of offerings for our students. And that will be in May, I believe.
Great. Okay. I don't know why my printout is it's all mixed up, so I'm not sure why. So moving on, the next thing would be the overview of amendment of the student discipline law.
So not as exciting as the PTO presentation, but very important. So let me share my screen. And can everyone see the presentation? Okay. So in 2012, the state legislature created some new discipline rules and laws, which were effective in 2014. So over the past 7 or 8 years, our district has done an excellent job making sure we follow the Mass General laws in terms of discipline. In that we have the proper training to make sure we're following the requirements. In terms of the changes of 2012, it really was to limit the use of long-term suspensions. Many districts were removing students from school for a long duration of time. And as part of the acts of 2012, it was to limit long-term suspensions. The law also worked to promote the engagement of the parents in the student discipline process, again, to make sure there was a partnership between the home and the school, and ensure that suspended and expelled students continued to receive educational services and had opportunities to make academic process. So many times students were suspended from school. However, they didn't have access to the learning or the curriculum materials during that suspension and fell further behind. And lastly, the goals were to keep a school safe and supportive for all students while ensuring fair and effective disciplinary practices. So again, we worked very closely with our faculty and staff and leadership team to make sure that we implemented the laws appropriately. So then, So there was an amendment to the student discipline laws this past November. And really, these were from the Massachusetts legislature. And it included new language. So we have reviewed the new laws, the new requirements, and we've conducted training with all of our leadership team. I will share that many of the new changes the district already was implementing prior to November 8th. Which was nice to see. So the first thing the amendment did was it removed the discretion to suspend that it formerly provided to principals or principal designees. So it removed the principals, again, discretion to suspend students, and it really looked at restorative justice. So any principal, superintendent, or person acting as a decision maker at a student meeting or hearing, needed to decide a large variety of consequences that included ways to re-engage students in the learning process, and excluded students from being suspended. So again, it really looked at restorative justice. So in the past, many school districts would suspend students, and the principal would have discretion. Now the requirement is to look at restorative justice to make sure that students re-engage the student in learning. And really, suspension is no longer an option, except in rare cases. So some examples of student re-engagement. So really looking at mediation, so peer mediation, conflict resolution, restorative justice, collaborative problem solving, detention, potentially removal from extracurricular activities, removal of privileges, and really looking for schools to implement school-wide models to engage students in the learning process. And principals have received training and are implementing these new requirements. And we continue to do more work around what does this look like for our schools and our students. I think in terms of why this amendment was made to the discipline law, it was really attempting to address the disproportionality of suspension rates across the Commonwealth. For example, looking at the number of Black and Brown students suspended compared to white students, looking at the number of students who were suspended who were receiving special education services versus students who did not receive special education services. And many of the discipline data across the state shows the disproportionality of suspension rates. I will share that in our community, in our schools, we do not have disproportionality in suspension. Even prior to the amendment, we use suspension very sparingly, and we typically looked at other ways to help students learn how to correct their mistakes, whether it was through mediation, conflict resolution, or restorative justice. So in general, the new amendment to discipline has not been a significant shift for our schools and our leadership team. However, I will share that many families, there can be a disconnect between what families think we should do in terms of suspension and what we're able to do. Many families, if their student is involved in a disciplinary issue where their son or daughter is the victim of issue, many families will say, well, why didn't that student get suspended from our schools? Why wasn't that student expelled from our schools? And there can be a disconnect. And it's important for parents to know that schools no longer have the option of suspending students unless it poses a significant or substantial disruption to the school, and that there's no other alternatives to remove the danger from the school. So I will stop there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. That was one of my questions was, is it a large impact on our district with these changes? And so you said it's not going to be a huge different of impact. Joan?
Thanks, Kelly. Greg, I have 2 questions. Would this be something, the 3 slides that you presented tonight, first, if you could send to school committee members the link to those, I think it's very important for us to have along with our policies. And the second one, again, onto the policies, would the policies subcommittee have to look at this to make any amendments to any policy that we have on suspensions? And could you attach, and if we do, could you make a reference to these 3 slides? Because I think a lot of times parents do go to our policy manual, which is online. And this is a very helpful, and I think it explains it very, very clearly, the rules and what our direction should be.
Yeah, when the new discipline laws were created in 2012, our 3 districts did update the discipline policy in 2014 to align with the new laws. So it is actually time for us to revisit those policies and make any required changes as a result of this new amendment. I would say that most likely the amendment does not require significant changes, but does require a few updates.
Joan, the slides were in the superintendent's memo. It was an email sent on Sunday evening, and there was a link to it in there.
Okay, because yeah, I have that memo from Greg and it just said,
It said in parentheses at 3 lines, so it depends on how you're viewing it. Sometimes it'll come in as like a flat PDF, so then you might not get the link.
okay, thank
So
you.
if you don't have the link, if it clicks and it doesn't work, let me know and I can forward that to you.
Yeah,
too.
no, I have it and I see it right here. It's in
Yeah.
parentheses. Okay, thank you. I didn't see that it was linked. Thank you, Kelly.
No problem.
One last job, Greg.
Cross that off your list. Bryce, did you have anything?
Just a kind of a clarifying question. So in the ability to suspend for principals has been rescinded. That is not an option that principals have moving forward unless there's documented proof of engagement on the, collaborative problem solving, restorative justice. So going through those steps, principals still have the discretion to suspend given no resolution after those steps, or even at that point, principals do not have the ability to suspend.
Yeah, I think that so does progressive. I think that the language around when they have the ability to suspend is when the behavior poses a danger to persons or property and substantially disrupts the school, and there's no alternative means to alleviate the danger. So it does it is very limiting in terms to a principle of when they can suspend a student.
Well, and difficult to subjectively describe safety. I think I'm digging into two things here. I'm digging into two things here. One is certainly centered around the victim. The other is just kind of creating an understanding that an understanding about the process, so that if there are collaborative problem solving efforts and restorative justice efforts and all of these other efforts that are really wonderful and should be there, if there is no resolution given those efforts, where does a suspension or expulsion decision then go to, I guess? And then the last part is that, and I don't know that there's an answer to be found here today, determining safety.
Yeah, and I think that is the safety, determining safety is the discretion of the principal.
Okay.
And typically that is not done in isolation, that is done with a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't imagine it would be otherwise, but yeah. But so still, if all of those efforts are done, where does the discretion then land?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is working with the school-based team to really think about, does the student's presence substantially disrupt the learning environment, the school safety? And that is where the team has to come in with the judgment. In the past, that was really at the sole discretion of the principal. And again, this is where we involve our school psychologists, our behavior specialists, all the team of folks who really help us process and think about students and their behavior and what we can do next.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my only other concern is, and it's kind of touches upon this a little bit, you touched upon, but it also kind of is probably another discussion for another time, is how this kind of relates to bullying. And as you mentioned, like a victim and stuff like that. I'm sure everybody on this committee has heard from one time or another about stories of kids in classes getting bullied, or their schools and their situations. And I know I've been to presentations that have been really good about the difference between bullying, actual bullying, and treating somebody unkind, I guess would be it. But I don't know if maybe that's something that we can do a presentation on, or something at a meeting in the fall, you know, and kind of also looking at our policy and maybe explaining it to the community as a whole, saying like, this is what it is, and these are the guidelines, but these are also the state guidelines where we have to fit in and how things are. I don't know if other committee members, how they feel.
Bailey, I can just briefly speak to that. I think it's a great idea of talking about, you know, what does the re-engagement look like in terms of a student who is bullying another student, but also talking about, you know, if there is a student who is being bullied, how do we protect that student in the school environment when removal of the other student is not an option? And though it can happen, and there are ways we can do that by creating safety plans and thinking about the re-engagement examples and processes that are in place. So I think that'd be a great presentation, one that I think principals can really kind of help us walk through and give some very tangible, specific examples.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Again, my thing got moved.
School choice.
School choice. I knew it was you right next, so I just couldn't find out which one it was about.
So almost equally as riveting as student discipline is school choice. So let me share my screen. All right, can everyone see my screen? All right, so our annual school choice presentation. So school choice is not new. It's been in place since 1991. And basically school choice allows a parent or guardian to enroll a child in a school district other than the district in which the child resides. And under the school choice law, all school districts in Massachusetts are presumed to participate to admit non-resident students through school choice unless they have a public hearing and decide to withdraw from school choice. So again, it's really the decision of the school committee whether it wants to withdraw from school choice, and if so, needs to hold a public hearing and vote. School choice, so just in terms of why many districts across the Commonwealth do participate in school choice. So for every school choice student, a district receives $5,000 per student. However, there is a significant gap between the per pupil expenditure and the money received for a school choice student. So in Northborough, the fiscal year 21, per pupil expenditure was $20,294.15. And as you can see, it's almost a little more than $15,000 less for the money would receive for accepting a school choice student. School districts and school committees can decide on school choice specific grade levels. So many districts might find that they have low enrollment at a particular grade level, and they can open up school choice for that particular grade level. But once a student is admitted into school choice, that district is required to educate that student for the duration of the student's educational career, as long as they remain in the district. And then again, our non-discrimination policy is really important when thinking about school choice. So all students are accepted regardless. If there are a minimum number of seats and the number of applicants exceed the number of seats available, basically it's a lottery. So the district keeps a list of who applies to school choice, and then and then it's a lottery if there are more seats. There are less seats than students who've applied. So advantages of school choice. So for many districts, it generates revenue, allows flexibility in enrollment declines, and year-to-year decision to opt out. So school committee can decide 1 year to participate in school choice and not the next, with the caveat that students who have been accepted into school choice will remain for their duration of their educational career, as long as they are still opting into school choice. Disadvantages, so the fiscal year 21 per pupil expenditure is far greater than the money we'd received. Acceptance is by lottery. Again, once a student is accepted, the student remains in our district to grade 8. And the potential for a student to require significant resources. So if a student requires any resources outside the norm, the district is responsible for providing those resources. So my recommendation to the school committee is to withdraw from school choice, or consider withdrawing from school choice, for the following reasons. First, the per pupil expenditure is far greater than the money we receive. Secondly, if you look at our enrollment for fiscal year 24, we have many of our classes capped at the elementary level, and there's not really space to accept school choice students. And secondly, I think once a district accepts school choice money and folds that into their operational budget, it becomes very difficult not to rely on that income stream to balance the operational budget. And at this point in time, I will stop sharing my screen, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. So just to go over the process, whatever we decide tonight, next meeting, there will be an open public meeting in regards to the decision, correct?
Correct.
It's not
So
like we can just vote now. We have to have the
Correct. So-
open public hearing.
So tonight's just informational
Yeah.
for the committee to have information to make an informed decision. We will have an open public hearing, the May meeting, around school choice. And then at the May meeting, the school committee can decide if it wants to take no action, which means it will participate in school choice, or vote to withdraw from school choice.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions that would help them determine that for next month? Or, yes, Bryce?
Oh, the vote is next meeting, like our vote, yes, sir. Okay, so then no, I don't, because I've got time to go find answers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate it. Joan?
Thanks, Kelly. Greg, looking at our enrollments, and like you said, if we had a low enrollment in one grade, we could offer it for one grade. At this point, do we have any grades that have low enrollments that we would be able to accept and still adhere to our class size policy?
So currently, kindergarten is the grade where it appears that there could be space to accept school choice students. However, kindergarten enrollment's the most volatile as we look now until we open our doors in August. That number can change significantly. And then secondly, once we accept a K school choice student, the district is responsible for educating that student through grade 8. So it's quite the commitment from the district. But that is the only grade level at this time that looks like there is potential space.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Moving on, old business. There's none at this time. Superintendent's report, speaking on grades availability, we're on enrollments.
Yeah, so in your packet is the enrollment projection as of March 28th, 23. We're monitoring enrollment very closely. in particular in grade K. If you look at the current enrollment at Proctor School, currently we have 20 kindergarten students registered. That would mean there would be a class size of 10 kindergarten students for each of the classes, so 2 sections. I do want to just kind of alert the committee that if that enrollment doesn't change, there is the potential to shift those kindergartners to other schools for their kindergarten experience. And then that would allow us to deploy one of the K teachers to another grade level and reduce class size where there is tight enrollment in that particular grade level. So it's too early to make that decision, but I just wanted to share that information with the committee. And as we monitor enrollment in the months of May and June, we'll have a better sense if that is something that we want to entertain doing.
So there wouldn't, so the solution you would come up with is to take those 20 kids and move them versus just putting all 20 in one class and moving that one teacher?
That's a potential option.
That would be an also one.
Yeah.
Okay. Lauren?
Thank you. For any parents of incoming kindergartners, are there any, steps besides enrollment that they should be looking out for, information, communications from the district? What's the timeline for that?
So I think kindergarten enrollment and registration has been communicated to families. I think it began in January. And I think that the enrollments are trickling in. I think if there are any families in watching this evening who have not enrolled their children in kindergarten, to do so as soon as possible. There is information on the district website for registration, and they can also call a school, elementary school, or the central office, and we'll help them with the process.
Thank you. And then for parents wondering, so next steps, they would find out like every other family in the district in the summer what their placement would be once decisions were made?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Next, Proctor Roof.
And turn it over to Mr. Lavoie.
Now it's my turn, Kelly. Yes, and I do recall you commenting last time about us having people out on the roof the day after we got the approval. So first and foremost, I do want to thank the town of Northborough and the support of the committee for this project. Like Kelly had indicated previously, we did want to get started on this right away. We had a roofing consultant, which is, his name is Adam Sullen from Garland Roofing. He has been with us for many, many years. He's a trusted consultant that we have. And through his guidance, we have contracted with GRLA, Gorman, Richardson, Lewis Architects out of Hopkinton. And they are partnering with us to go through the design, procurement, and project management process. So the stage that we're at right now is we're getting ready to advertise for bid, which is very exciting. We're finalizing the spec, and we'll be going out for bid hopefully within the next week or so, if all goes well. We are trying to finalize some documents. Becky's been working very closely with our attorney as well as representatives from the architecture firm to make sure we've crossed every T and dotted every I. But we are looking forward to this. And the hope is that with a successful procurement, and we will award a contract which would allow us to get the roof completed as soon as possible, which could in fact be this summer or early fall. So that's one of the things that we are planning for. It is likely that it will trickle into the fall, but Principal Sear and I have already had conversations about that. And we have been told by our consultant and the architect firm that the disruption will be minimal, but there would be contractors on site for the start of school. So we are working as quickly as we possibly can. Like I said, we had people out the day after the money was approved, and we're looking to, get the award done within a couple of weeks. Becky, would you add anything more about the procurement?
No, I think you covered everything.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Great, thank you. I'm glad that you are also repeating the fact that it can be done while the kids are in school.
Correct.
'Cause I know that was one of the concerns that the Board of Selectmen was hearing, that it was something that it could not be done, which, so I'm glad that, again, we're saying that it can be done. It's not an ideal situation, but it can be done if that needs to be.
Correct.
So-
Yeah, we've been told as long as the bulk of the work can get done without students there having things getting tied up and everything like that, will certainly be something we can manage and handle. But if that does adjust, I will certainly keep the committee abreast of our timeline.
And then if there's workers in the school when the kids are there, are they quarried? So how would that work if it starts the summer but goes over? It's
That is
still-
actually part of our contract. So once we award the bid and have a contract, that's included that all members of their team on site for the contract would have to go through our central office to be quarried.
Great.
The only thing I would echo is just thanking the town for the use of ARPA funds. I think if we were waiting for the town meeting, we would not have started the process, and it
That's right.
definitely would go well into the fall. So again, the use of town ARPA funds for this project really allows us to get a jump start and actually hit that window of the summer to get the roof installed. So we're very appreciative of that opportunity.
I agree. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Proctor Roof, going on to Becky, monthly general fund expenditure report.
Thank you, Kelly. So the Northborough operational budget as of March 31st has a balance of $163,056 or 0.64%. Now, if you look back at last year's report, we are $853 off from where we were as of March 31st, 2022, when we had a balance of $163,909 or 0.64%. So we are trending very closely to where we were last year at this time. The reason why you'll see that the operational budget figure is a little bit lower than where it was at the end of February is because we have encumbered funds in anticipation of purchasing ELA curriculum materials. And then as we head into the final 3 months of the fiscal year, this is always a busy time for the finance team because we are preparing to close out this operational budget. And then also begin work on the FY24 operational budget once that is approved at town meeting. So I feel like we are in a good place with this budget, and I really have no concerns to report to the committee tonight.
Great, thank you. I'll entertain a motion. Joan?
I move that we accept until audited the FY23 monthly expenditure fund report.
Motion by Joan. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bryce. Any discussion?
I do have a question for Becky.
Yes. Yes, Lauren.
Becky, can you, so I know you mentioned the ELA funds, right, for, and if I recall, I think Stephanie had mentioned how in order to get the curriculum for next year, we needed to spend some of our operational budget for this year. So although you said we're in a good place, I'm just confirming that, you know, we were able to move things around in order to pay for that curriculum.
We were, this budget actually does include a $100,000 encumbrance for the purchase of those materials. And Stephanie, I don't know if you want to make the big announcement. It will be on next month's school committee agenda for approval, but.
Sure. So we're really, really excited that we were awarded the grant that we had applied for, and a major thank you and applause for Megan Kelty, who's played a leadership role in all of this work and worked hard in collaboration with DESE as part of a network for evaluating selecting materials. So that grant is a really significant help, and it will pay for 50% of the materials for our elementary ELA program, and it will pay for 100% of the PD that we do before June 30th. So we will be using our professional development day on May 9th to start the PD so that teachers start to learn about the new curriculum. And then we will be working together with principals to see if we're able to do some additional PD before June 30th. So we are very excited, and with Becky's work to find support the other 50%, it puts us in a really good place.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the update. All right, so we have a motion by Joan, seconded by Bryce. It will be a roll call vote. Joan,
Yes.
Bryce, Lauren,
Yes.
all in favor is unanimous. Thank you so much. Oh, myself is a yes, so it's all in favor. Moving on. School committee member reports. Joan.
Yes, as the liaison to the NEF Foundation, I'd just like to mention that the trivia night was a huge success. And I'd also like to thank Greg and the technology department who came to the support of NEF in getting them some of the technology support they needed, and even something so simple as a whiteboard that they needed to tally up all the scores. And so I would just like to thank everybody who helped to support that, because this once again is grants that go back directly to the school and to the children and the staff. So thank you very much. And thanks to our group of school committee members that also participated that night. Good job.
Yes, Bryce, myself, Greg, and Rhoda was our fourth. And I think we had to leave. Unfortunately, we had to leave early due to scheduling issues. But I think we were in first when we left. I want to say we were probably.
I concur. That's how I remember it.
That's what I recall it being. So.
That's with our heads held high.
Can I just also, to Joan's point around the high school student, so we had Ben Chanzer, who's a senior at Algonquin, take on the responsibility of the tech. So working in partnership with Mr. Lavoie and the high school technology team, we were able to support NEF in their technology needs. So thank you, Keith, and a huge thank you to our high school student, Ben Chanzer, who did a great job.
Very good. Bryce, anything to report? Lauren?
So the Coalition for Equity, in collaboration with the Multilingual Learner Department, on Friday evening hosted the second annual Culture and Music Festival. I was unable to attend, but I did speak to some people who were able to attend. They said it was, even better than last year, well attended, wonderful performances, featuring students, community members. So I don't unfortunately have firsthand experience, but I did hear really great reviews about the second annual event.
Great, thank you. So I have just some things from NSPAC. April is World Autism Month. So that is on the calendar. They have announced the Go to the Distance Award ceremony is May 11th, and nominations opened up today, and they will be accepting nominations until April 14th. They have a coffee hour at Barilla Coffee this month on April 22nd. And all of this is on their webpage and nspac.org, and you can find out that. And then just the last thing about them was that they had their first, last month I mentioned on St. Patrick's Day, they had their first fundraiser. Mini golf. I did attend with my girls, and we had a blast, and they ended up raising over $800. So it was a great first fundraiser for them. So that was great. I think that's all I have for committee reports tonight. Next is educational policy. There's none at this time. Policy development, there is none at this time. And personnel reports.
So in your packets, the personnel report as of April 5th, 2023. I'll just note that we continue to struggle in terms of retaining and keeping special education staff. It has been very difficult this year and challenging. I would say that these positions are like the new chemistry teachers, the new physics teachers. It's hard to retain and attract special educators to the role. I know that Heather Richards is kind of retooling and rethinking how we recruit special education teachers to our district. And we'll continue to pursue all avenues to make sure that those positions are filled.
Greg, I have a question. Why is there a resignation and an appointment? I don't.
So this person, this is an
see.
example of, we had an open position. The person left their current job in another district mid-year to come to us, worked with us for a few days and decided that she wanted to return to her district. It was a major shift. And I'll just share that this was a very difficult decision for this person who took on the role, because she wants to work in our district, but felt like she left behind her students in the other district. So she made a decision to return.
So which is first? So it's resignation,
So-
but then that's also an appointment. So it was.
So we appointed Anne Morin as a special education. She joined us from another district where she was also a special educator. She left her district to come to us.
Okay.
And worked with us for a few days, but it didn't sit well with her that she left her district.
Okay.
Decided to return. So.
And what about the Melican? What's the time frame in that? Is that the same situation?
Melican
The
is
science teacher, Kristen Campbell?
correct. That was just a very short, she decided to leave the position unexpectedly.
Okay.
I will share that typically we don't experience these types of departures. This is new territory for us. We are finding that people we hire in the past have been very committed to staying in their positions. We have had a few circumstances where people have accepted positions, spent a week, and decided to move on. But those are outliers, not the norm, unfortunately.
Okay. Lauren?
Thank you. So I just wanted to go back talking about the special education teachers and retention and how that's been a challenge this year. So I'm curious, I mean, and this doesn't even need to be really answered, but I guess I'm just sort of putting information out there and thoughts. If conversations are being had about, I guess, the workload that our special education teachers and our paraprofessionals are experiencing. Wednesday is Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. So just wanted to say thank you to all of the ESPs in our district for all of their hard work. It is much appreciated, all your work. So I guess that's just sort of maybe something that Heather in HR, maybe yourself, Greg, and oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I'm having pregnancy.
Marie Allen, yes.
Thank you.
Baby brain.
Marie Allen. Marie Allen could maybe just discuss about like the workload of the teachers and how to distribute that workload so that our really amazing teachers remain in our district.
So we definitely can add that.
That's great. Thank you, Lauren. All right, moving on to communications. There are none at this time. We have action on minutes. We need a motion to approve the open meeting minutes from March 1st, 2023. Joan?
I move that we accept the open meeting minutes of March the 1st, 2023 as presented.
Thank you. Motioned by Joan, seconded by Lauren.
Second, yep.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, it will be a roll call vote. Joan,
Yes.
Bryce, Lauren,
Yes.
myself is also a yes, so that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Future agenda items. We're going to have May, the school choice, public hearing and vote. Melican Middle School, PTO in Lincoln Street. Special recognitions in May. We got a town meeting recap. Subcommittee liaison assignments for June. Meeting, election officers, recognition of retirees in June. The food and cafeteria budgets and menu, we'll put that on. Greg and I will decide May or June. Also, the bullying thing, we'll decide on how we want to do that for the fall potentially. Is there anything else anybody has? Joan, is that leftover hand or is that a current hand?
New hand.
Okay,
Also, postponed from tonight was the NEF presentation.
yep.
And then another one, I know that we're really booked in May, but seeing that Melican Middle School PTO is going to be there, and if Michelle Carb would be there, it would be under the discretion of you, Greg, and also Kelly. But and that would be an update from the Melican parent teacher conferences. I know we had a good discussion on Wednesday, March the 1st, when there was ability of parents to have a parent-teacher conference. And it's up again, Greg, it's to your discretion along with Kelly, but I would like to have an update to see if they were able to get all the parents in for conferences. And if not, what would they be doing to change it so it's for next year? But I think if a parent wants a conference, that should be something that should be provided to them. So
I think Greg can give you an update on that right now.
Yeah, so I did have a chance to speak with Principal Carb. And although we tried something a little bit different this year, we are going back to how it has been conducted in the past, which provides every parent an opportunity to meet with their children's teachers. So we can provide an update. Probably makes sense to have that as an agenda item in the fall. Fits the will of the committee.
Greg, what about, was every parent who requested one I mean, I'm putting you on a spot, maybe an update, but do you think that the majority of the parents were able to get conferences right now in this spring of 2023 if they wanted one?
I think that most were able to have conferences with their children's teachers. However, I don't think all were able due to the time constraints that we had.
Okay. And I'll look forward to maybe an update or a revision, like you say, going back to the way they used to be, so that all parents can have 2 conferences during the year, one in the fall, which is very important, and also the spring when the kids are going to be transferring up to the next grade level. Okay, thank you very much.
The only other topic is it's timely, and we heard a little bit about the topic this evening, that is ELA. So an overview of the grant and some of the district's plans for ELA curriculum for next year. So it'd be great if Dr. Reinhorn and Megan Kelty could provide a 10-minute presentation on the topic.
Okay. And then I was alerted tonight that there will be, the Board of Selectmen is meeting and to potentially, they're forming a hiring committee for the town administrator position. So I don't know, we haven't been officially asked yet, but there will be a discussion tonight, it's probably happening right now, whether they will invite a school committee member to be on that hiring committee. So I will, and it's going to be most likely in early June, I believe is the time frame of when it's going to be happening. And they would be a combination of during the day meetings and evening meetings. Bryce?
Is there a way that we can just directly advocate that a member of the school committee?
So,
Or,
they
or is
have,
it about, do we need to show up and?
so they have they hired a consultant firm, and the consultants firm are advising the Board of Selectmen tonight on what their suggestions are. And one of the suggestions was to have a school committee member on it. So it will be the will of the Board of Selectmen if they decide to go with the consultant firm or go away from the consultant firm. But I told them that I think it's a great decision to include the school committee on it. Regardless, they will be having stakeholder meetings, and they will be reaching out to people like Greg and Stephanie and Keith, I'm sure, about things. So, Joan, did you still have a question, or is that?
Hold on. Yes, I do. For Greg or for Stephanie, in curious minds want to know, what is the new ELA program? So I can do some research.
Curious minds do want to know. We actually are finalizing the decision. We have a meeting tomorrow in which we will hopefully be finalizing the decision, but it is not finalized yet.
Shoot, I thought I could do some research. I am anxious.
But
I am
I'm happy to share with you when we have a decision that's
That'd
public.
be great.
And
Send me an email. I'd love to look into that. Thank you very much.
yeah, I will say that I think we're very excited about the options. So we will have more news very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, approval of bills and payrolls. It is now officially in both Bryce's and my calendars as alerts that we sign off on those things. Audience sharing. We have some attendees tonight. You can raise your virtual hand. I see a virtual hand from Kristen. Just a reminder about virtual meetings and all attendees for audience sharing. This is not a discussion. We will not be able to conversate with your topic. It's for a time for us to just to hear your concerns, and we will make note to follow up at a later time if need be. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Hey everyone, my name is Kristen Willems-Teachin. My address is 30 Osier Ave. I do have a 3-year-old on my lap who doesn't want to go to bed, so I apologize for the noise. The couple questions that I had, which I understand you can't get back right away, but I wanted to make sure that I understood correctly that the school choice was $5,000 for the student, and I was wondering if that was provided by the family of the student, or if that was something that the state provided. And then the cost, I think if I understand correctly, was $20,000 right to the district, it sounded like. The other question I had was I was hoping you could at some point provide a example of restorative justice. As I was listening to that discussion, I just was not familiar with that term and would like to learn more about it and those procedures. And one other suggestion for a future agenda item, because of the few parents that I had talked to this past week and some discussions I've also been privy to, given the news and what went on at Algonquin this week, and all that, was a review of the district's procedures when there's a concern that a student could cause harm to other students, or if there is an active shooter. And one thing that several parents raised to me was the idea of school resource officers. But I thought it might be a good idea for the committee to look at what would be the cost. Is it feasible? Are they effective? Like, what would that look like if it was going to be anything, not that it should be implemented, but looking at like cost, feasibility, and effectiveness, because that had been raised, like I said, by a few parents over the last week due to the unnerving events that occurred here and elsewhere. That was it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kristen. I know we do have answers for all those questions for you, so we will be circling back with you for them. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing anything. Anything from the board or other panelists? Seeing, don't, no.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Did I miss it or did we skip an agenda item?
Maybe, probably.
About school committee agenda and packet distribution discussion?
Yeah, we did miss that because I do remember that being on that. Thank you. See, this is the thing. I'm going off of the memo and it's printed out differently. So yes, that is something. So basically what that is about is that we were suggested to release our packet, which is what is all the agenda item, everything that we get emailed to us before our school committee meeting. It was suggested to us that we post that prior to our meeting versus posting it after the meeting. Greg, did I say that right?
Yeah, so I think that the current practice is that the committee receives the full packet with all the supporting documentation on the linked agenda. What is released to the community is just the agenda with no supporting documents linked. It's been suggested that when we publish the agenda, typically that happens on a Friday before the meeting on the following Wednesday, that we also post the entire agenda with all the supporting documents so community members can do their homework, study, and be prepared for the meeting that is upcoming. I did have a conversation with Cheryl. It's not extra work for us to post that linked agenda. The work is done. And I think the only consideration from my perspective is that as a committee, if you receive the information in advance of the public, it gives you some time to explore, to review, and be prepared for any questions you might receive from the community in advance of the upcoming meeting. So it's not extra work to post the agenda with the link materials the Friday at the same time in which you committee members receive the packet. It's also a possibility to post the linked agenda with supporting documents on Monday. So school committee members get the full packet on Friday. The full linked agenda is posted to the public on Monday. The meeting takes place on Wednesday, so everyone is prepared.
Yeah, so I like the idea that we have at least a little bit of time to review anything. But again, I guess it doesn't matter to me. Does anybody have feelings strongly one way or the other? Bryce or Joan? I saw your hand go up. I saw Bryce unmute first, but I saw Joan's virtual hand. So
Bryce can have it.
Joan,
Bryce
raise your
can
hand. Joan goes first.
Thanks, Bryce. I like the idea that Greg proposed and having us to have the weekend look at it, but I would even like to see that we would have it posted on a Friday. We get Saturday and Sunday, and if we have any questions, we could call, the superintendent on a Monday. So I would even say release it to the public on Tuesday. That would be my Monday or Tuesday would be fine with me, but I like the idea of us seeing it first. So we can go through it, synthesize it, check our materials, check past, materials, the notes that we took.
Mhm.
And I think that it gives us some time to look through that in case anything has to be changed.
Bryce?
Just gonna say that it wouldn't bother me that it was given to everyone at the same time. you know, the worst case scenario is I say, let me get back to you, please. You know, if approached by a member of the public, I don't feel overly obligated to have the answer if somebody comes to me in the grocery store asking me a question about an agenda item. Like, I don't say like, let me get your contact info. Let me get this, let me get my ducks in a row. Let's set up a call and talk about it. Like, so that's all I would say is like, if we get it for the weekend, okay, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind if everybody had it at the same time.
Mhm. Lauren?
I do think there's value in having the community see the full packet prior to the meeting. I don't know if I really feel strongly either way. I do know that, and Kelly, I'm sort of curious your position as chair. Like, as chair, I would appreciate, you know, maybe the weekend of having time to sort of look at the agenda, and oftentimes the presentations will be included, and be able to sift through that information before receiving maybe community emails. But again, Bryce makes a good point. I'll get back to you later. So, you know, life happens, and sometimes we're not available on the weekend, and, you know, just being able to say that phrase, like, I'll get back to you on Monday, works as well. So I don't really have any strong opinions either way, but I do agree that the community, I think, will appreciate having the packet in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you know, Lauren, you've been chair, you set the agenda with it, so you kind of know, we don't get all the details in the packets. So, yeah, I mean, we could try maybe releasing it on like the Tuesday for the rest of the year, would be my suggestion. Give the community a day, you know, to review it, if that's not too much trouble. If it's easier for Cheryl just to release it all at once, then I would say then let Cheryl do it all at once. And
Yeah, I think Cheryl's preference is not to have multiple dates.
communications.
Her
then
preference would be, if we're going to release it,
just one
know,
click.
send it and publish it on that Friday. I think it's, if the, you know, my point around Monday is just a consideration. So I think if Cheryl were here, she would vote for releasing at the same time on Friday.
Yeah. So then maybe we try it for next month in June and see how problematic it is having the public see at the same time as us. And if nothing changes, then next year, whoever the chair may be can decide on if we want to carry it. Does that sound good? I don't think this is really something that needs necessarily a vote or a formal vote, but are we all in agreement that we'll just have Cheryl release it all together next month? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Is there anything else I missed on the agenda? See, this is why in person is better for me. All right, seeing nothing, seeing none. Kristen's hand is up still. I think it's probably just lingering. Okay, it went down, so I'm taking it as it was a lingering hand. Okay. Seeing no hands, nothing. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved from Lauren,
Second,
seconded by Joan. Any discussion? No discussion. The meeting is adjourned at 8:15.
roll call.
Roll call vote. Joan,
Yes.
Bryce, Lauren,
Yes.
and myself is a yes, unanimously a vote, and adjourned at 8:15. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
See
Good
you
night.
next month in person.
In person. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.